Hello, in this video I want to talk about some products that I'm looking at purchasing from Aliexpress, as well as some of these sellers that I do recommend if you are looking for mining hardware for a really good value. Just a heads up, I am located in Canada, so all these prices will be in Canadian dollars, and of course shipping will vary depending on where you are located around the world, because I did check my YouTube analytics because we are starting to get a couple of subscribers now. We're getting close to 600 subscribers as of today's recording, and there's a lot of people from India. We got people from the Philippines. There's also people from North America like Canada and the United States. Yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go over these products and what I've ordered in the past and what I am looking to order in the future. The first product I want to talk about here is the Breakout board from the Chiphouse store. You got a couple options here. You can have a 12 there's a 12 PCIe breakout board here with 12 cables for $33 shipped to the door. There's no import taxes, so it's phenomenal. Then you have another 12 option there, which has a switch instead of a button. And then probably the breakout board I will be ordering is this 17 6-pin breakout board, and these breakout boards work specifically with the HP 1200 watt PSU, so of course you need to double check your specs, but these work with those 1200 watt PSUs I've shown in previous videos. And I'm probably going to be ordering this last kit here. It's the 17 PCIe breakout board with 17 cables. The cables are pretty good quality, and if you've looked at any of my videos, they look pretty good in my opinion. I've never had an issue with them. They are 18 gauge, about 50 centimeters long, and it's a 6 to 6 plus 2 PCIe cable, and it's incredible value. You think about it, for about $42 shipped to the door, because there are no import taxes into Canada, which is phenomenal with this product. I know some products, if you use a different shipping method, you will get charged import taxes, but as far as I'm concerned, and since the last time I ordered, you do not. So if you do the math there, you get 17 cables. That's just over $2 a piece. Not to mention, you get a pretty decent quality breakout board. But yeah, that's the first product I'd recommend here. If you need to find it, just search PCIe breakout board on AliExpress, Chiphouse store. You can find it as well, and then find the product there. The next one here is as well on AliExpress. You can find just the 6-pin to 6 plus 2 pins. I have not ordered from this seller before, but they do have a couple of reviews. So let's say you are ordering a breakout board from some place like Parallel Miner, and you think the cables are a little bit too expensive. No worries, you can hop over to AliExpress. Obviously it will take about a month for stuff to ship in, but you can get a lot better value yeah, in terms of what you can actually buy for your dollar there. But yeah, you do have to wait, so you do need to be proactive in terms of what hardware you are ordering. Moving along, if you've had any experience with Antminer power supplies, or those power supplies that go along with those mining server cases, and your cables have ever burnt up, you can easily buy replacement cables. A friend of mine, he had an Antminer S9 and his cables burnt up, so we found on AliExpress you could get a package of these. Obviously in this case, this lot here for $25 plus shipping, so pretty much $30 Canadian. You can replace 2 power supplies worth of cables, but you can always look on AliExpress as well. If you need replacements for your Antminer power supplies or whatever, you can always look at AliExpress as well. Now, moving along to GPU risers. This is probably one of the most cost-effective ways to buy your risers. Of course, you need to plan in advance, because if you have a riser fail and you don't have any spares, you'll probably want to just order on Amazon and pay the extra $1 or $2 premium. But let's say you have time on your side, you can wait a month and a half for your stuff to arrive. You can order a whole bunch of risers here. If I order 10 risers, you can do quick math. That's going to cost me $60 plus shipping, so $64 for a whole bunch of risers. That's 10 risers, and then of course you can choose what length of cable. And this is the best part about this option here. I generally would recommend, depending on how you're going to structure your rigs out and how much space you want to leave between your cards, to either go with the 60 centimeter or the 1 meter USB cable. The USB cables are all pretty good quality. I have again ordered from this Chiphouse global store, and they've worked really well for me. I personally would recommend, if you're doing like an open air wire rack style, go with the 1 meter cable. It only costs a little bit more, but you have a lot more flexibility in terms of how you run your cables. And yeah, again, that's the Chiphouse store. Moving along, if you don't have the luxury of buying a 12 GPU motherboard, don't worry. A lot of people have talked about these before. I ordered a whole bunch of these 1X PCIe to 4X splitters a long time ago when they were like $15. Now, of course, prices have come up, but even for $23 shipped to the door Canadian, this is really good value. Like, let's say you have an old HP, Dell, Lenovo workstation or desktop laying around. You can easily grab one of these PCIe riser cards, throw them in, and most likely on most motherboards, this will be supported. I'm just going to make note, just because you have two, like let's say one 16X and one 1X PCIe slot on your motherboard does not mean you'll be able to run 8 GPUs. That also depends on what your motherboard chipset and stuff is. I'm not going to go into too much detail there because it depends very much on like use case to like case to case, like depending on your motherboard. But I have had good experiences with like a Z270 motherboard, being able to take it from 6 or 7 PCIe slots, supporting all the way up to 12 GPUs. So again, if you look at any of my older videos where I talk about like a 12 GPU RX 570 mining rig doing Ethereum Classic, Ergo, or Ravencoin, I am utilizing these splitters and they work really, really well. Now, another place that you can look for hardware is Parallel Miner, specifically if you are in North America and specifically if you are in the United States and you don't have to pay as much for import taxes or shipping. They have a wide variety of breakout boards as well as power supply combos. I personally have ordered the X12 breakout board from here. It worked really well with these Dell power supplies. Of course, the model will vary, but the ones that I've shown in the videos before is a Dell 1200 watt. This one here is not the exact model, but it's a DPS like 1200 MB. Basically, it's 1400 watt Platinum Plus power supply, and they only work at 240 volt, but this was the model I found for really cheap back, I'd say around February, January, so I bought a couple of those, and then from Parallel Miner, I was able to buy the X12 breakout board. Now, just because they have a certain breakout board and it works with one model doesn't necessarily mean it will work with your model. This is where you're going to want to search up your model. So you can hit Control F, search the model. Let's say DPS space or dash 1200 MBA. This is the model I have here, so you can see it is supported. As well, you can look around on their website. I believe they do have a let's see, breakout board. Can do this live for you guys. This is not an edited video. We're just going to try a little bit of different content here. You can check out, I believe they have like a long list of supported power supplies and breakout boards on their website. You'll have to do a little bit of searching to find it, but that's how I personally ended up finding this 1400 watt Dell power supply and ended up going with it. Is just cross-referencing what they had available in terms of breakout boards and then going on eBay to buy the power supply. And funny enough, I actually started with buying the power supply thinking that it would work with like the normal breakout board. It did not. That's where I started to learn more that you need a specific breakout board for the pinout of the power supply. But yeah, as a good resource, you can also look at eBay and Parallel Miner. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is server cases and mining motherboards from Aliexpress. I recently, about a couple of days ago, I did order one of these server cases. They do cost quite a lot. I believe I paid somewhere around 500 Canadian dollars for one of these. It's a little different model. The shipping is pretty expensive because you are shipping a large container, I guess, across the sea or whatever. But what I am starting to consider is potentially, if I am going to be, like, let's say, mining in a hotter condition, looking into building with a server case. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be doing this in the future, but they do have some pretty good price to performance in terms of what you get here. They do have a couple packages as well. You can either get a motherboard, either just get the case if you already have the specific model motherboard, or what I'm probably going to be looking at out of these two options here is just going with the kind of bare bones kit where you get the motherboard plus case, and then of course it comes with the integrated CPU as well as all the PCIe slots on the motherboard. So I think it's actually pretty good value. In terms of like pricing and value, you're looking at probably about $80 worth of risers right there, so $10 for riser, because they're connected really well. You're probably never going to have an issue with them. So in terms of value, like the motherboard's really good. It comes with a CPU. I don't know what it costs to buy a mining CPU. Maybe you're going to spend 50 to 60 Canadian dollars at least, probably 80, so you can easily do math. That's $180 there. Plus, this uses an SO DIMM, DDR3, that's pretty cheap, another $20. So you can see this is actually pretty decent value for a server case versus buying something from like mineshop.eu, or like there's a couple other North American places and European places that sell mining cases. So I did order one, so I'm going to have to wait till the middle of September to receive it, but once I do, I will be making a video on that as well. There is a cheaper model here if you have smaller graphics cards. Order from China here, you go with the Combo C. So what, this would cost me about 440 Canadian dollars. I would wait for the sale on August 23rd there, and you can get an 8 GPU motherboard and case and stuff. But anyways, moving along, the last motherboard that I'm potentially looking at buying is this X79 motherboard here for mining. It has 5 X8 PCIe slots, so this is ideal if you are using like the first generation RTX 3060 GPUs. The idea here is that it's in an X8 slot, so you can get the full 47 to 50 mega hash on the RTX 3060. Now, the reason I'm going to potentially be ordering one of these, probably going to go in here and use the faster shipping option, pay $6 more, is because the Xeon CPUs have a lot higher PCIe, how should I say this, like bandwidth or like PCIe slots or something. I was looking on arc.intel, and if you compare the Xeon CPU, basically any X79 Xeon CPU, to a just a normal LGA 1151 CPU, you'll notice that it has a lot more PCIe slots or PCIe devices available. For the Xeon, it's about 40, and for the, I think it's like the Celeron G4600 or something, it was around 16 to 20. So what I'm potentially looking at doing is ordering one of these motherboards, pairing it with one or two of these 1X to 4X breakout boards, and potentially having myself a really budget 10 to 11 GPU motherboard setup. So what, I would spend around $115, $116 on the motherboard here, plus I'll need a DDR3. I believe I can use registered memory. That's really cheap, easy to get. So what, $10, $15 for a 4 gigabyte memory module there. Yeah, I'm looking at maybe $120. And the biggest thing that I really like about this motherboard is that you don't need a 24-pin connector. And that's one thing you can also look at the different models here. They're custom Aliexpress motherboards. Some of them do require a 24-pin connector. I believe this motherboard does here. Yeah, there's a 24-pin ATX connector. Some of their server motherboards do not require it, and that's where you can easily leverage these straight on. You can get a Dell 1400 watt PSU, you pair it with a proper breakout board, or you can go with HP, or you can even go with the APW3 power supply. Like, you can just get a straight up 12 volt power supply. Might save you a little bit of money. Obviously, the Antminer power supplies are in high demand at the moment. But the reason I'm going to be buying one of these motherboards to test is because all you need is 12 volts, and it's super simple. Then you don't need that ATX power supply, you don't need a Pico PSU, so you can save money there as well. Now, one thing I'm curious though is what actual CPU did they put in here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a low power, but then I am curious, is this V1 LGA 2011, which is 32 nanometers, or is this V2, which is 22 nanometers? So that's the only thing I'm going to want to check out when I do order and buy this motherboard. It does have an M-SATA slot on here, so you can put an SSD in, but what I'm probably going to be doing is just using something like a USB thumb drive, put HiveOS on it, and run it like that. But anyways, this was a different kind of video. It's a lot longer. We talked about different products from AliExpress, eBay, and Parallel Miner. If you have any questions or suggestions for content in the future, you can let me know as well. Let me know what kind of hardware you're ordering for your mining rig or mining rig setup and stuff. If you like what you've ordered in the past. I'm assuming a lot of people have been mining for a while now and already have all their equipment. But yeah, just let me know in the comment section below kind of what your thoughts are. Have you ordered anything from AliExpress? Where do you go to order your hardware? And yeah, hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to reach out in the comment section below. And yeah, if this video was helpful, make sure to subscribe, because again, I did order one of these server cases from AliExpress, and I will be doing a review on it in the future when it arrives. So yeah, anyways, good luck mining, and take care. Bye-bye, goodbye.